Discussion keeps the world turning.
This is Roundtable.
You're listening to Roundtable. I'm Niu Honglin, joined by Xingyu and Fei Fei. Coming up soon. Have you ever left a comment about a product online thinking, they'll probably never see this? Turns out, sometimes they do, and sometimes they act on it. From product features to marketing campaigns, brands are paying closer attention than ever. Somewhere along the way, consumers stopped being just buyers and started becoming collaborators. But do we always love this idea? And almost everyone had that item growing up. The oversized jacket your parents bought, the pencil case that looked childish, the old-fashioned school bag you prayed no one would notice. And now, social media has collectively rediscovered one of the most oddly specific teenager anxieties: being embarrassed by your umbrella in public. Did you have such an umbrella or your very own cringe thing? Please share with us. But before that, for a long time, the relationship between brands and consumers followed a simple pattern. Companies designed products behind closed doors, launched them into the market, and consumers decided whether to buy them. But in today's digital environment, that model is starting to shift. Here in China, some brands are paying very close attention to what people are saying online through everyday posts, comments, and even jokes. In some cases, these conversations would directly influence what products get made and how they are designed and even how companies market them. This approach is sometimes described as listen-to-advice marketing, where consumer feedback isn't just collected, it can actively shape decisions. So what happens when consumers move from being passive buyers to active participants in the creation process? Does this lead to better, more relative products, or does it risk pulling brands in too many different directions? We need to look into it because I feel like I am torn apart. On one hand, I would love my advices to be listened to, but on the other hand, I fear some people's advice got taken into consideration. So let's look at some of the examples. What's the relationship between the brands and consumers, and how has that relationship changed recently?
Well, for example, one of the example coming from a home appliance brand called Haier in China is about, it started from a very heated debate online. It's about, when people start to have hygiene concerns when it comes to, washing machines. They're talking about, a lot of people in China, especially online, they're talking about you shouldn't wash your socks together with your underwear and also with the clothes you wear outdoors. So you need to separate them. But it would be also very difficult to only wash, for example, 5 pairs of socks in one washing machine.
I do that by hand.
Well, I don't think that's an option for a lot
are lazy.
Okay.
Yeah. So they want the washing machine to do all of them. So, and even one user go to the extreme that he or she drew a picture of a 3 drum washing machine, meaning one big ones on the bottom and have 2 smaller ones on the top, one for underwear, one for socks.
But all of those are separated.
Separated drums, but in one washing machine.
But I mean, you can operate them separated.
Yeah, yes, and that's the point. And that particular post got very famous, got very popular online with tens of thousands of likes. And then gradually that moved one of the brand out there to actually develop and launch this 3-drum washing machine. And that particular brand, particular product was ranked one of the top sales on JD.com last year. So apparently this particular post from this particular user reflect a very large scope of demands on the market, but probably brands are not really sure they exist, first of all, and also they're not really sure there is a brand for this kind of product.
Yeah, I've seen the model on the internet. It looks just like the head of a Mickey Mouse, with small ears and one face. But I guess the design is smart in some ways because it addresses many people's headaches of you have to separate those items, and you with this model, you can actually wash different types of clothes in different compartments. So that's very good fix to their problems. But yeah, I guess that's a good example of how these companies, they are actually care about what these consumers what they think and what they want in real life, and they want to make changes accordingly.
Well, Roundtable is talking about it. It cannot be a singular case, right? There are more examples here in the Chinese market.
Yeah, especially during the past Chinese New Year, because this is the year of the horse, and in Chinese, horse is in Chinese, ma. So for this dairy company in China called Yili, many netizens suggest that you should ask Ma Yili to be your brand ambassador for this period, and then
for the sheer reason of pronunciation,
the pronunciation and the cultural connection between it. So the brand did that, and it actually made a good effect and influence on the internet.
So there's the designing of product, there is the strategy of marketing, and what else are companies listening to?
Well, there are different examples that we can talk about. For example, there are a lot of complaints when it comes to milk bubble teas, that a lot of consumers complain there are too much sugar, too much calories, too much caffeine. And then we are starting to see brands launching low calorie, low sugar options, and they're also one of the brands are also launching light caffeine lines that you can pick. And there are other options, for example, even for restaurants, when they're thinking about picking up a location. They're also, I think it's also one of their marketing strategy. They're posting online, asking consumers, where should I set my location in this particular city? And maybe the top comment would actually win, and they would actually open a location based on that comment. I saw a number of different either restaurants or bakeries using the similar strategy. I think it's smart on the sense that they save a lot of money when it comes to surveying, hire a third-party agency to do a marketing survey. And then second of all, they are also sort of publicizing about this new location I'm looking out. So I think it's a more smarter and more efficient strategy that these brands are taking.
And we see it's not only here in China, it's not only Chinese brands. Internationally, for example, Lego, they allow users to submit product ideas, and if a design receives 10,000 votes, it enters an official review process for possible production. And for Starbucks, it has used customer feedback platforms to gather ideas, and has implemented hundreds of customer suggestions across products and services. So these are more, in a way, relatively active and controlled idea or suggestion selecting. But here, what we are talking about here is that because of the popularity of social media, because now people can, in theory, quote unquote, directly contact brands by leaving a comment under that brand about a certain product, or submit a draft version of a picture of your quote unquote design to that brand, so the brand can take that into consideration.
Yeah, but that just reminded me of my previous experience. I love one of these noodle shops in the shopping mall, and I liked a particular noodle very, very much. But one day I went there and the menu was gone. The type of noodle was gone, and I was so heartbroken. So I left a short message to the Weibo account of this company, and I said, why did you cut my favorite noodle? You should put it back. But nobody responded to that one.
I think that is because you didn't get 100,000 likes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's what I'm asking. Yes, in theory, we can directly talk to the brands, but what does it take for a brand to actually listen? On top of your advice got millions of likes, showcasing that the market is big enough, are we really looking at a situation where brands are being more persuasive when they are taking consideration of what consumers are thinking? Or is that pure coincident? They have already been thinking about opening a shop in that exact location. It's just coincides with what people are saying online.
I think it's more of a two-way strategy currently. For example, brands themselves do need some kind of research and development strategy in their own minds. And then sometimes it can coincide with what the market demands. And others also need to have a filter system. For example, they can take in every comment coming up on every social media platform.
Are you talking about Xingyu's comment? I really wish that she can get the noodle she liked.
Yeah. When it comes to that kind of decision, is no more than what the customers want. They also need to take into consideration of the costs of what's happening on the market and also what technology they are able to use. For example, when it comes to that 3-drum washing machine, I checked about that history. Is their own, that particular brand's own innovation? That particular type of product has been existed on the market for a decade.
Really?
Yeah, for a really, really long time. A number of brands tried to launch similar products before, but the problems that stopping them from being that popular is the cost. Is about before that particular brand launched that 3-drum washing machine, most of the product on the market was priced more than 10,000 yuan. So it's not something an ordinary consumer can place an order on with a tap of finger. But that particular brand, I think the reason they decide to launch that product is also they have the technology so that the price can be dragged down to around 4,000 yuan. And that's their innovation coming into hand. So I think when it comes to the launch of these products, it's not simply about, it's a meme. It's a joking moment of about, what? A user draw a picture and we made that happen. How marvelous we are. It's more about thinking about what we have and also about the future of this brand. And then finally making that decision. Of course, what the users want, what the consumers post online is important, but it's not 100% guaranteed can be used in the market.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm asking this question is because we talked about supply side reform for several times here on Roundtable or in the society, because a professional sometimes is a professional because they know what people want without those people knowing themselves. Before a product is there, it can be a game changer. It changes the face of the entire industry. It changes the face of that line of product. You don't necessarily always know what you want until you see it. That is why we rely on the professional designers to design. And that is not to say brands should not think about what consumers want, some tiny suggestions. That is just to say, in certain cases, things can go wrong if you really listen to exactly what the consumers are talking about.
Yeah. For example, Coca-Cola, in the 1980s, Coca-Cola reformulated its flagship product because they have done this blind taste test. And according to that test, many of these testers, they have voted for the, sweeter version of the drink. And then the company replaced the original formula with so-called new Coke. But that somehow, when it got onto the market, it didn't do very well. So they had to replace again with the original one. So sometimes when you do these, the testing and sampling, sometimes the sampling scale can be not that big. So if you consider the bigger market and you consider the bigger crowd, the public and consumers, and maybe that kind of test results can be a little bit odd.
And another example would be a drink brand called Tropicana, and they redesigned their packaging to create a cleaner, more modern look based on consumer research. It's not they are thinking, on top of their head. But the redesign removed their really iconic orange with straw imagery that consumers instantly associated with this particular product. So many shoppers failed to recognize that new packaging from the shelves, and leading to confusion and then a sharp drop in sales, around 20% in the US only. So that's why the company later reverted to the original design. So you need to, I think, first of all, think about your identity, really. What is the true identity to your particular brand? Maybe the orange is more important than you think. Don't take it off.
Okay, so in general, quick question. Do you think in the future we should have more brands that goes with the listen to advice strategy, that would want to interact with consumers a bit more, maybe do more survey in their target audience so that they can meet the needs of consumers? Or do you want the brands to be quote unquote themselves more and just be who they are, and we love you because of who you are. We want you to design the products based on your understanding of your own identity. Which, in general, would you prefer? Especially as a consumer.
I would 100% in support of the listening to advice marketing. Who don't love a brand that care about what you say? Even if they didn't really take your advice. But it's nice to have somebody listening. The listening is one of the top quality of a nice person, regardless of a brand, of a company, and a partner. Listening is one of the key quality out there. So I would encourage a lot of people, even though otherwise they also need to spend money to do consumer research. And from the examples that we gave out, a lot of the times this consumer research can go really, really wrong. So why not just talk to consumers themselves directly? You have the channels.
Yeah, so I also think that as consumers, we like being cared about, and we like the feeling of our advice are taken seriously. So whenever the company is putting my idea into action or their design, I would feel like I am not just one of the consumers. I'm one of the co-creators of this company or product. And that somehow also helps with this user stickiness to follow, to be one of the fans of this brand. Yeah. So that's positive communication that's happening here.
And Roundtable is such a product or such a program, which is why we always encourage you to leave a comment wherever you listen to your podcast, or let us know what you think about the show through an email to roundtablepodcast@qq.com. You're listening to Roundtable. Coming up next, did your most memorable umbrella from your childhood super cool, or did it make you cringe? Stay tuned.
Looking for passion? How about fiery debate? Want to hear about current events in China from different perspectives? Then tune in to Roundtable, where East meets West and understanding is the goal.
This is Roundtable with me, Xingyu, and Fei Fei. Sometimes nostalgia arrives through grand moments, but more often it sneaks in through tiny details. The smell of old textbooks, the sound of weird earphones tangling in your pocket, or the embarrassment of carrying an uncool umbrella as a teenager. Recently, the phrase umbrella shame has been there with a lot of people talking about it. It's been trendy online, not because of umbrellas themselves, but because it reminds us of how intensely we once feared standing out. So we talk about this because a lot of people on the internet are talking about their umbrella memories, and they're posting pictures, and they're talking about the fact that they had the shared memory of one specific type of umbrella. So what are some examples here?
One of the shameful umbrellas out there are pink print ones, or oil paper parasols, or corporate branded freebies. What's wrong with that? From banks or blood donation centers, or oversized market store parasols, or transparent umbrellas, and even a foldable umbrella designed to look like a head of lettuce. And one post featuring a very classic blue plaid umbrella received 250,000 likes.
Well, I think I had one of those.
Yeah, that's still a
Everybody
normal
had one of those.
Yeah,
That used to be very popular, I guess. And
I think
also
it's not about being popular. It's about being cheap enough. So it's common enough.
but that,
everywhere, yeah.
That's my umbrella shame. The plaid, the blue or black plaid umbrella. When I was a teenager, we have one. I think we have more than 2 of such umbrellas at home. I just refused to take out these umbrellas, even to the point that I would rather go into the rain without an umbrella.
Was it because it's not pretty enough?
Yeah, because it's not
My
trendy.
problem was not about my object being not pretty enough. My problem was not only 2 umbrellas, but every object. I don't want it to stand out too much. So it can be the blue one.
eye-catching.
I don't want it to be eye-catching.
So the Barbie pink ones.
Never a Barbie pink
You know
one.
the rainbow-colored umbrellas?
I love
really
I had
bright.
one of those.
But nowadays, when I see those, I would feel like they are very old-fashioned, outdated.
Really?
How about a transparent one?
Transparent one is cool.
Yeah.
It's cool and it's okay.
Yeah,
and it's
okay.
not outdated
Yeah,
today.
Yeah.
We're talking about this not because we cared about umbrellas so much. It's because we see the common understanding or sensation about the cringe culture objects. It's not only here in China, it's around the world. Different generations in different countries have their own cringe culture. That is something that used to make you cringe, make you feel embarrassed in a crowd, or something that used to be really cool, but only for that specific period of time in history, or only for a subculture group of people, even at your age. And nowadays, when we think about it, it's no longer cool. I think similar objects or similar phenomenon include having your hair so long and dyed in different colors, so long that it blind your eye a little bit, and it used to be the sign of a cool teenage boy or girl, but now it seemed that it's just a bit too
Cringy.
much and cringe. And another thing I think in the States, if I'm not wrong, is being being the center or being the main character of a photo that your parents post on social media. It can be a cringe moment for young kids.
In the States, I thought the word moist
Oh, that's
would be
the
their
current
cringe.
one, right?
Yeah, the current one. A lot of people would be cringing over the word moist. I don't know. I'm just keep seeing that to annoy people. Moist. And apparently a lot of people get cringed on that. So,
Okay.
but maybe in the future, moist would be the trendy word out there that people
Really?
wants to share. Another example that I think of is about slippers. You know, remember a lot of the slippers that we are so embarrassed when we were children, like the plastic, a little bit transparent plastic ones, sometimes in the color of pink, sometimes in the color of yellow. But currently a lot of fashion brands are reintroducing them onto the market, and they are priced pretty high because of, you know, the brands behind it. But somehow it's just my grandma's sleeper that was
one of
sold like 10 kwai back in a few years ago, but now is sold thousands of yuan on the market. So I think that's one of the examples that was used to be a cringing object is now something people are spending money and trying to be another brand of their identity.
Are you saying fashion circles back?
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
You know, back in my college, I would wear one of those skinny jeans. Skinny jeans.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, back in 2010, that was super popular because of the like pop culture, and many like female celebrities they wear the skinny jeans in different like bright colors, and I used to wear some of those, and I bought many pairs of skinny jeans, but back then I didn't know that it's not very good, not very helpful with your leg blood circulation, but somehow you had to endure that, and you got to enjoy. I don't know. Probably just because you think that you're following the crowd, you're following the trend, and you didn't think too much. But nowadays, when I look back, I don't wear skinny jeans anymore. I prefer like loose, more comfortable fits. So that's kind of a change for me.
Following the fashion trend is one thing. What I'm trying to ask is, why do you think people all over the world talk about their cringe culture objects from their memories on the internet? It's not only here in China, it's around the world. It's not only umbrellas, it's everything. Why do we have the urge?
Well, I think when it comes to objects, it also comes with a lot of memory coming with that. For example, when it comes to umbrella, a lot of people are sharing about their childhood memories, taking the umbrella, walking in the rain under umbrella with their parents. And that's something I think people are talking about. They're quote unquote cringing.
So
currently.
It's more about nostalgia, funny and playful and also shareable kind of way. And that brings us to the end of today's roundtable. If you have a cringe object or a fun memory you want to share with us, leave us a comment or send an email to roundtablepodcast@qq.com. Deep dives and nuanced views, we are clearing the table for now, but may the ideas stay with you. I'm Niu Honglin with Xingyu and Fei Fei. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.